It's Service Headline News, and I'm your host, Marty Smith. I'm joined by Mr. History, Eric Perrott.
Gentlemen, how are ya?
And our man in the closet, Jake Wall.
What's going on, guys?
We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all servicemen and women. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as the Swearing In Podcast presents Service Headline News.
Woo!
I think I may have carried your name out just a tad too long. It's because in that 1 second I was doing Jake Wall, I was like, get off it, it's too long. No, keep it on. Like,
It doesn't matter.
I blew it now, especially now that I've talked about it. I've really blown it.
Yeah, you screwed it all up.
Oh, God.
Fellas, I'm a grandpa as of yesterday.
Oh,
I
man.
know, it's crazy. My daughter
Wow,
went
look at
in, she
that.
got induced. 9-minute labor.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Quite
Very
the birthday,
efficient.
too.
She had
Quite
like
the
two
birthday.
huge pushes, and she was ready for more, and they were like, that's it. And she was like,
Wow.
wow. So
Quite the birthday, man.
yeah, my daughter Lexi and her husband Brock gave birth to Brock Michael Nielsen Jr.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
I don't know what to, I mean. I'm looking forward to this portion. Eric, you tell me if I'm wrong, because this is the best kind of.
Tell me
It's
if
not
I'm
even
wrong.
parenting; it's just kind of enjoying, right?
Absolutely, man. There's nothing better.
Because I was holding him today, and he kind of opened his eyes, and I was like, "Oh, the first time I seen his eyes open," and then he's like, bleh, right? I was like, "Here you go," and they rushed right over to get him.
It's
And I was like,
perfect.
there
There
we
you
go.
go.
Now
Give it
we're
back.
talking. Now
You're
we're
like,
talking.
ugh.
Grandpa just gets to spoil them to death.
I was like,
man.
clean him up, give him
Good
back.
stuff. My son,
There you
his kid Gage, my grandson, just turned 8
Oh,
on
wow.
September 9th.
Wow.
So I took him to Dick's and we got the
Gage
padded.
sounds like an athlete's name.
Yeah, well, I was buying him a padded shirt from underneath his football pants and the padded girdle.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So
There you
and then we had the football game on Saturday. They lost, but he had a hell of a good game.
Did you get to
That's
do
cool.
the melt the mouthpiece with him?
No, he had already done that. He has
Ah.
one of those goofy ones with the teeth and stuff all over it. You know how
Oh,
they're
yeah.
decorated on?
Oh, yeah.
But
It's
do they still
decorated.
have the moldable one, or is it just
Oh,
like
yeah.
the front teeth?
No, they still have the mold ones. I don't even think they've molded his. I think it's just a tray. Puts it in
Oh,
his mouth.
No,
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they gave my wife. They were saying the dentist was like, "Hey, you're grinding your teeth, right? So like we can give you like an anti-device or something."
Wait, is that like eating crayons at night?
Yeah.
Good.
Crayon eating would prevent the teeth grinding. The wax would make it go
the wax.
smooth.
I apologize.
Right?
Please proceed with your story, sir.
Former Marine.
Well, yeah. So
You just ruined Marty's whole train of thought.
no, I
with
was like,
disappointment.
should I go really hard to shut that down, or should I just
I apologize. Please
to
proceed.
those who are listening, it makes about as much sense to me too.
Perfect sense.
But anyway,
Thanks,
she
Jack.
paid out the ass for this night guard or whatever it is. And she goes, "Hey, can you help me with this thing?" And I was like, "Why? What do you got to do?" She goes, "Well, I got to mold it to my teeth." I was like, "You mean like that $7.99 football mouth guard
Yeah.
you could have got?"
Yeah.
She goes, "Yeah, I think it's about the same thing." "What do you do? Do you dip it in hot water?" She goes, "Yep." And I was like,
Oh, my
damn
God.
You gotta you just let it sit in hot water
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like
And
And what
boiling
did they
water,
charge for
basically.
it? Did they charge you for it?
I was
I'm
like
sure they
over
did.
$100 or something.
Oh,
like
my
that.
God.
Is there at
That's
least some
crazy.
vampire teeth or something on it?
Nothing.
No I Heart Marty or nothing.
Oh,
No.
man, that's
She
scam.
She got blue. That's what she got.
That's-
Blue.
Yeah, she did.
Damn.
Yeah, she did.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, speaking of crayons, what do you got for history, Eric?
I'm sorry, crayon. September 11th yesterday, right, guys? And to
Yep,
honor
yep.
those 3,000 people, I thought we'd stay on the same thing because today is the 12th. And so I wanted to give you some facts about 9/11, and then I want to read you something. So here come the facts. I think you'll get a kick out of this.
Right.
Are you still with me?
I had to switch back just to look at the disappointment on Marty's face that it's not military history.
Well, this was too important for me because you're.
Weeks in a row.
Oh, come on. This is huge, man.
It's
You
okay.
gotta stay with
It's
that.
okay.
Right?
What do you expect
Oh,
for
I'm with
who
you.
work- employees who
Let
work
it
for
ride.
free?
I'm a
it
historian. Come on. It covers it. Covers it. Right?
Military
So-
historian.
Yeah, well, this turns into a pretty big freaking war, don't you think? 2001? Didn't
Yes.
it turn into something? It was
Rourke
what
Denver
led.
was getting ready for revenge, baby.
It's what
Freaking
led to
loving
it.
that coast, sweating out in Costa Rica.
All
We're
right,
gonna get some
so-
payback, baby.
Little bit of facts. Youngest passenger on the hijacked jets. Anybody know?
5
Christine
months.
Hansen on United Airlines Flight 175. She was 2 years old in her first trip to Disneyland.
I don't like this game.
Right? The oldest
I
passenger.
don't like this game either.
Well, I won't ask for as a question anymore. The oldest
Okay.
passenger on the hijacked jet was Robert Norton on American Airlines Flight 11. He was 82. New York City Fire Department, 343 firefighters, almost half the number of on-duty deaths in the department's 100-year history. Okay. South Tower collapsed at a magnitude of 2.1 on the seismograph. The North Tower collapsed with a magnitude of 2.3. So these things were looking like earthquakes when they fell, just to give you an idea. 1,444 trash receptacles were removed from metro subway station areas in the Washington metropolitan area that day to help collect personal items. Crazy. 15 million square feet of office space was lost at the World Trade Center, more than 3 times the amount of space at the Sears Tower in Chicago. 1,430 people with 50,000 employees from 26 countries called the World Trade Center the office. 4,600 Pentagon workers had to be relocated temporarily. 1,337 vehicles were crushed when the towers collapsed, including 91 fire department vehicles. 1.5 million working hours during 261 days were spent moving debris from the World Trade Center. And then I'm going to give you one last one. I want to read something to you. So 900 million. No, that's not it. So more than 100 people were affected by the terror attacks carried the Olympic torch on its way to Salt Lake City. The Emmys were postponed twice. September 16th after the terrorist attacks, and October 7th, the United States began airstrikes in Afghanistan. This is the one I wanted to give you. It's about the airplanes. There we go. The airline industry lost $5 billion from September 11th to September 30 and requested $24 billion in aid from the federal government. Because of the tighter restrictions, drugs seized along the 1,962-mile U.S.-Mexico border fell by 80% in the 2 weeks after the terrorist attacks compared with the same period the year before. That's kind of interesting, don't you think?
Wait, so the drug seizures went down?
Yeah.
Or because they moved?
Because of the stop of airline travel. No airplanes. Period.
Oh,
Period.
gotcha.
All right. So the last thing I wanted to read you, those were some pretty good facts, but I think you'll get a kick out of this. So this was a President Bush meeting with his national security team on September 12th. This is a letter, by the way. I just completed a meeting with my national security team, and we received the latest intelligence updates. The deliberate and deadly attacks which were carried out yesterday against our country were more than acts of terror. They were acts of war. This will require our country to unite in steadfast determination and resolve. Freedom and democracy are under attack. The American people need to know that we're facing a different enemy than we have ever faced. This enemy hides in shadows and has no regard for human life. This is an enemy who preys on innocent and unsuspecting people and then runs for cover. But it won't be able to run for cover forever. This is an enemy that tries to hide, but it won't be able to hide forever. This is an enemy that thinks its harbors are safe, but they won't be safe forever. The enemy attacked not just our people, but all freedom-loving people everywhere in the world. The United States of America will use all our resources to conquer this enemy. We will rally the world. We will be patient. We will be focused and will be steadfast in our determination. The battle will take time and resolve, but make no mistake about it, we will win. The federal government and all its agencies are conducting business. This is not business as usual. We are operating at a heightened security alert. America is going forward, and as we do so, we must remain keenly aware of the threats to our country. Those in authority should take appropriate precautions to protect our citizens. But we will not allow this enemy to win the war by changing our way of life or restricting our freedoms. This morning, I am sending to Congress a request for emergency funding authority so that we are prepared to spend whatever it takes to rescue victims, to help the citizens of New York and Washington respond to this tragedy, and to protect our national security. I want to thank the members of Congress for the unity and support. America is united. The freedom-loving nations of the world stand by our side. This will be a monumental struggle for good versus evil, but good will prevail. I thought you'd get a kick out of the letter because it shows the steps we were taking heading towards war and the support we were gaining from so many other countries.
Was that a letter or was that an address to like Congress or?
It was a press release
Oh,
from his September 12th meeting with the national security team. I think that meeting right there put us on the footing towards we're going to hit you.
Attacking 2 random countries.
Right.
Well,
heading down the road.
Well, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
What I liked about the memo and the press release was the fact of, how united it was standing. And here's another fact.
True. Yeah.
Here's another fact.
That was a nice feeling, actually, honestly. Like
yeah.
The unity and camaraderie of that post September 11th.
It was kind of like, all right, enough.
Society was pretty crazy.
Let's get together and let's go. So
yeah. So there were other countries around the world that presented to us, all the prayers and all that stuff. Well, you guys have heard of the Maasai tribe in Africa?
Yep.
They started the presentations to the United States by presenting 7 cows to the United States. Because if you'll know, the Maasai really reflect the cows as, I don't know. Divine,
they're a life source. They're
divine beings kind of thing because they provide. So the United States thanked them, had a painting made of them, and then asked the Maasai herdsmen to continue to keep the cows. So the logistics of having to get it to the United States never happened. But the fact that even a small Maasai tribe reached out to the United States and offered their, biggest gift that they could come up with, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I swear to you, next week it will be U.S. military history, by God.
Yeah, we'll see. That was great. That was good.
Here,
That was a good
military tidbit, September 12th, 1944, U.S. Army troops entered Germany for the first time.
Oh.
There you go. That satisfies Marty's.
And I will help. September
yearning.
12th, 1918.
Oh.
General Pershing led American troops for the first time in World War I.
All right.
These choices. Well, speaking of troops going all over the place, there's a couple stories here that I thought, because you ever wonder where troops are deployed? I always did, right? Especially when they do the Remember Everyone Deployed campaign that they sold a
red
ass load of red shirts, right? I've got them, right? And I was like, are these just for the guys in Afghanistan, Iraq? Right?
In Tampa
Well,
stand.
we've had guys in Sinai shit, back in the 90s, I know we've had people in Sinai for forever.
Yeah.
And are it always made me wonder, if you go out on a ship, are you considered deployed? You should be, right?
I believe
Yeah.
you are.
I think
believe
they
you
are.
Yeah.
So I thought I saw these couple stories and I thought it was interesting. One's a deployment story, one's a shifting troop story. But I always was wondering where our guys are, right? All over the world. And it's tough to get that sometimes. But this one from Task and Purpose had 4,500 3rd Infantry Division soldiers are deploying to Eastern Europe.
Hmm.
Where are they deploying to, right? But this is, like I said, taskandpurpose.com, roughly 4,500 soldiers with the Army's 3rd Infantry Division, better known as the Rock of the Marne. That's that square patch with the blue and white diagonal stripes in it.
Oh, okay, nice.
They are
Rock
in the
of the
process.
Marne.
Yeah, it's called, the nickname is Rock of the Marne. They fought in World War One and made a name for themselves there. And they've always
Oh, very cool.
They were third. They were in Germany for a long time as I think a brigade combat team or something to that effect. But with all the BRAC stuff, they've moved everybody around. Anyway, 4,500 soldiers of them are going to Poland and the Baltic states as part of an ongoing U.S.-led effort to reinforce NATO's eastern flank, which wasn't ever supposed to be an eastern flank, but is now an eastern flank, which runs from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. The soldiers come from 3rd Infantry Division, 3rd Infantry Division Artillery Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division Sustainment Brigade, and the division's 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team. The soldiers come from the 3rd Infantry Division headquarters. Oh, shoot. I must have copied twice. Currently, and this Eric and I were talking about this before you got on, Jake. Currently, about 85,000 U.S. troops are in Europe. Prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the U.S. military had about 65,000 troops in Europe. The number of U.S. forces in Europe since then has fluctuated between 80 and 105,000 service members due to military exercises and the rotations of units in and out of the continent. Now, to give you a perspective, about 300,000 U.S. troops were deployed to Europe toward the end of the Cold War. So I think sometimes when civilians write these articles and they talk about deploying to Europe, well, they're permanently housed in like Germany
for
3 years. That's not a deployment.
Yeah, some of them are.
Yeah, some of them are. Right. But
there's a lot of TDYs and deployments.
I agree.
Still.
I agree. But if you have a base nearby, if you're at a base, you're not deployed.
Yeah. That's an assignment.
Okay, wait. So they plus up the manning, like in the air operations centers. They'll take people from one AOC and move them to the other, physically deploy them to the other AOC, or activate them out of a fighter squadron and move them there.
Aren't they TDY then, though, or is that a deployment?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it all runs down to probably money, honestly.
I always get
is it
yeah,
the
you're
home
right.
base? Is the home base paying for it?
Oh,
or is it all coming
your
out
TDY? Yeah, but the difference between TDY and deployed can make the difference in that combat bonus, right?
Well, remember all those guys that were deployed to CENTCOM AOC, and they were literally in Tampa.
And yeah, right. I remember the politician who said that. I deployed to I've been in CENTCOM AOC. I was like,
Tampa.
Did it used to be in Homestead? I thought it was in Homestead for a while.
Yeah, right? I don't know.
Well, and I also think if you were deployed long enough or TDY long enough, there are certain decorations, tax exemptions, depending on what it is
4 months,
considered.
Depending on where you're at.
Yeah, depending what it is.
4 months, I think it was, right?
Well, okay, Marty, remember the Intel person? This is the funniest deployment story ever. Okay. We were sitting on the ops floor at Buckley, and we were low on manning because for the intel portion, because we had stepped up the manning due to missile warning stuff and escalations after 9/11,
Right.
that kind of thing. We just went into Afghanistan. All right, we needed more intel bodies. Our crew intel guy got masked deployment orders. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. So he got deployment orders. He got set on orders. He had to qualify. He had to do all that stuff, right? Take Sea Bernie, do everything.
Oh, all that pre-deployment stuff.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right,
all
right.
the pre-deployment. He had to go shoot. He had to go do all that stuff.
Right.
And we sent him off. We're like, hey, we'll see you later. 2 weeks later, he shows back up with us. And we're like, what the hell are you doing? He goes, yeah, they deployed me here. I'm like, you're from here. How's that help our man?
I never heard that story. No kidding.
It was our intel
Oh.
guy on Delta Crew.
That's
at that time.
ingenious. Ingenious.
He got pulled, like he was on deployed orders to sit in
essentially
his
deployed.
normal crew location.
Yeah, he was essentially deployed in place.
Yeah, but we lost him for 2 weeks to do all that other crap.
That's nuts.
We were low manned. He's on. He had to go shoot the gun. He had to freaking do Sea Bernie, everything. Like that.
I didn't
Deployed.
realize it. I
He's
never
like,
knew
get
that.
out of here.
That's great. Did he get
Sea
paid
Bernie
for?
guys,
Did he
chemical,
get like
biological,
TDY pay or deployment pay?
He should have.
Good for. I mean, good on him if he did. That'd be awesome.
It was that married couple guy. I cannot remember.
Oh God, yeah. What is that guy's name?
Either way, I don't want to call him out.
Yeah, I know.
Mostly just because I can't remember your name.
I
Sorry,
can't
dude.
remember his name either. I do remember his wife at the time.
Oh,
I remember exactly what he looks like and his wife.
Yes, I can
Like
see him too.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see him too. I don't remember his name. So along with that, I guess the Niger thing that's happening, right? All the coup in Niger, I think it was. Well,
yeah.
Air Force Times had a story about repositioning some airmen over there at Niger as a precautionary measure. Precautionary measure, no shit. Department of Defense said it is repositioning some troops and equipment within Niger, quote, out of an abundance of caution following a military coup in July that overthrew the West African country's democratically elected government. We are hopeful that diplomatic talks will continue and the situation in Niger will be resolved diplomatically. She just used diplomatic twice in that sentence, didn't she? Said Sabrina Singh, the Deputy Pentagon's press secretary. She said this is simply a precautionary measure, which can you be more alarmed if they keep stressing this is just a precautionary measure? You're really not going to do anything. Don't be alarmed. They'll be like, fuck, now I'm scared as shit.
To be clear, we've had bodies in Niger for a long time.
Yeah, you're right. But they're shifting them. So, and thank you for that transition, because they're shifting them from they have they have a couple bases in Niger. They may have more, but the two bases they're talking about here are Air Base 101. That's the name of it. In Niamey, Niger. And that's
Is it Niger or Niger? I've always thought it was Niger.
For you, I will call it Niger for the duration of this story.
Oh, scared.
In Niamey, Niger, capital. And they shifted them to Air Base. Guess. If Air Base 101. Air Base 201.
Oh, man.
In Agadez, which is a facility in the central part of the country. There will be a small group that remains in Niamey. The personnel are members of the 409th Air Expeditionary Group. Niger has played a critical role for the U.S. counterterrorism mission in the region, where extremist groups have been flocking. The repositioning comes as Is it
Wagner
Wagner,
Group.
Wagner forces? I don't know why I'm trying to do it German.
Just say it
Russian-backed.
one way, and then Eric will correct you in about 3 times.
Oh, that's
I'm here for corrections. Yeah, sure.
the repositioning comes as Russian-backed
Oh,
Wagner forces. Russian-backed Wagner forces have looked to possibly make Niger the next African country where they ascend to power. Niger's junta previously asked for help from the Russian mercenary group in the face of a possible military intervention by the West African Regional Bloc. It's the politics of that is
yeah.
beyond me. I mean,
You talk
Yeah.
about a war-torn country, other than say South Africa, it's all West Africa. All that West Africa territory has been at war for so many years. Internally, revolution.
Sudan, Congo,
Oh, yeah,
all that.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, that
East
whole
Africa is not much better,
E-
and you got Somalia,
Ethiopia,
Yeah, crazy.
Kenya.
So I don't know. I couldn't. I tried to look up Airbase 101, and all I was able to find out was that's where the 409th Air Expeditionary Group is, and I don't know what they do. You know, obviously maybe it's an emergency airstrip kind of stuff. I'm not sure. So, but they're shifting them.
Well,
So
a couple of years ago, we had in the news. Remember, we had, I think it was a Green Beret or 2 that were killed in Niger. And we had drones overhead to support. So I'm assuming helicopters, drones, just based on
oh yeah, that could be.
historical news articles.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe that's all it is. But you know, I couldn't. I was
Cargo.
trying to get a number, but obviously it wasn't a number. It was probably more a capability. That's why they're shifting it. But so there's things going on out there. I thought it was interesting to see
It would be interesting to
who's
see a
getting
map,
deployed, where they're
Yeah.
getting deployed to, that kind of thing.
Well,
Yeah.
like me and Marty talked about earlier, a map of deployed, not so much assigned, but deployed, their locations. Because we said 85,000 in Europe. I wonder what's in,
Well, yeah, I mean,
in the
we can do that.
Pacific.
We can do that real quick. Where was that?
That'd be kind of cool.
Stand by. So
See what that number looks
yeah,
like.
where are all our troops, right? So if we're going to remember everyone deployed, well, let's give the listening audience of 42 subscribers on YouTube.
There we go.
So this is from Statista. That sounds kind of shady anyway. I don't know what that is. But this is as of 2022. So number of active duty United States military personnel in Europe. This is just in Europe. So it wasn't just total deployed. We were talking about Europe. I thought it was interesting because that article said there's 85,000 people that we have. Again, they say deployed in Europe. That's a little bit of a misnomer, right? Because you got 35,000 in Germany. Well, they're there on an overseas tour.
Yeah, they're assigned.
I don't know how you say that's deployed.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is whether active duty overseas or active duty deployed. I'm shocked by Turkey only having 1,700 because Incirlik is constantly getting locked down, and for a base.
Yeah.
Well,
I told Marty
in trauma.
Yeah, you thought there was more, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Between
Eric looked up
Izmir-
another source that said like 1,600. So it's close, right?
It's close.
That's crazy. Huh.
I would have thought there'd have been, 8,000, 10,000 at least at Incirlik.
Yeah.
I
So
wonder how many of these are also if it counts the Marines at embassies.
yeah,
And-
if you count all those
and,
personnel and
like,
stuff, yeah, that's a good point.
liaisons.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right, because I know we've got liaisons in different air operation centers, space
Sure.
operation centers. So
Well,
it has
later-
to count those too.
For those on the audio only, it shows like Germany 35,000, Italy 12,000, UK 9,600, 9,700. Atlantic Resolve rotating NATO force. That's sketchy, but that's 7,000.
That's like when we were in Croatia, Marty, way back in the years when I supported NATO and went to what is it? Croatia, but it was
played foosball.
something. Yeah, right. Started Grab. What's
he
Grab?
made it on the
Something
Croat flag
Grab.
football team. So he was
Something Grab.
the all Army Croat team.
What's
He was-
that city in
He was
Croatia,
hitting home
man?
runs on the softball.
Something Grab. Mozgrab, Lozgrab, Nozgrab, or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a.
But there was a big
Abu
contingency.
Ghraib?
No, not Abu Ghraib. No. No.
Winning hearts and building pyramids.
Oh yeah.
But that's what. But even that, when you start talking about, hey, we got guys rotating over to Syria. You know, like I mentioned that earlier. We've had Syrian presence for forever. It's like, what the fuck are they doing over there, right? So what are these 7,000 NATO force troops doing as they're rotating?
I just looked up an Atlantic Resolve.
Yeah.
It says since April 2014, U.S. Army Europe and Africa have led the Department of Defense's Atlantic Resolve land efforts. Atlantic Resolve provides rotational deployments for combat credible forces in Europe to show our commitment to NATO while building readiness, increasing interoperability, enhancing the bond between allies. So it's literally just combat credible liaisons.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't specify where.
Yeah, right.
So that was in as of November 2021, the newly reactivated V Corps has assumed command and control of all Atlantic Resolve rotational forces.
Oh, really?
So that's what right when Russia picked up.
Yeah, yeah.
So they changed from US ran operation to whoever the V Corps is.
Fifth Corps.
Is it Fifth Corps?
I don't know if that explains anything, but I don't know what's in.
Oh, okay, Fifth Corps. Yep.
But Spain has 3,200. Poland has 1,800.
I'm sure that's bigger number now with the Ukraine event happening.
Right, and these are 2022.
That's a potential.
Turkey has 1,700. Belgium 1,100. Romania 1,100, and then you get into kind of 3 digits: Greece, Netherlands, Portugal. But what I thought was funny about
you remember the Azores? That used to be an air base. I don't even know if Azores is still there, right?
Yeah, it's still there.
Lodges Field.
But as you page down this, right?
Oh, is that what Portugal? Is that the comment?
Yeah.
I got you.
Lodges Field. Zagreb was what I was talking about with Croatia back in the day. Zagreb was where we deployed and had.
So you got all these kind of double-digit deployments all over the place. You know, there's probably a colonel and a staff. You know, that kind of thing, maybe. But you got like Iceland has 2.
Well, we know that's not the case, isn't it?
Belarus has 1.
I thought we had a pararescue squadron in Iceland.
Yeah, I thought it was a bigger presence in Iceland.
Maybe we just have a pair of pararescue.
I got it. Oh man.
So interesting where we got people all over the place. You know, our big swaths of people, like the one that they just did with Third ID. And those guys are going over to help NATO. So, God, are we going to see more of those? Didn't we deploy a bunch of guys 6 months ago or like a year ago to go help like a potential push in Poland? Don't we have troops over there from like a year ago?
Good question.
You remember that when they were like, "Oh yeah, we're sending some guys. They're just in NATO countries, but just in case."
Yeah.
I don't know how long those guys have been over there, right?
I'm sure that is still
Can there be
going
anything worse than the excitement of being deployed and you're like, okay, what do I tell my wife when we're back? And they're like, we'll let you know. And you're like,
yeah.
That's
well, back in 22,
forever.
According to news articles, all I'm doing is scrolling through headlines here.
Yeah.
February 2022, Biden has approved the deployment of 3,000 additional troops to Poland, Germany, and
Maybe that
Romania.
was them. What was the date on that?
February 22.
Maybe that's the
February
one I was thinking.
3rd, 7th, and 11th are the news articles.
So you think those guys are still over there?
Oh, I bet they are.
Are they rotating out?
They probably rotated back, but I bet you
It's still occurring.
that duty position is still probably over there.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
I've
I
got
wonder
a
what they're-
contractor friend that just went into that area. And
Well, you know we're
Came
gonna
back.
do some shit if you got contractors having contracts out there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
that's exactly it.
Yeah. Just
Well,
get
and
that.
as long as this Ukraine thing's going and any type of threat to NATO imposed threat will be there.
Huh. Well, the military industrial complex is alive and well.
Oh no, yeah.
So, anyway, just
Yeah.
thought it was interesting that those popped up that they were talking about where people are because I'm fascinated where our military is, where we
Agreed.
have spread our forces all over the place.
And we didn't even
Yeah.
talk about the Pacific side. So
No. I mean, that's true. You know, and that's. You think that'll ramp up? That'll start ramping up. I mean, where are they going?
I would venture to say it already has with the potential threat to Taiwan.
I did see where there was an article about the Air Force was trying to rejuvenate some long lost kind of airfields over there that we had, out of World War II and stuff. But then we've since left. But now they're like, hey, maybe we can clear some brush off and maybe use these.
That's where you're going to put that one guy on the Tomahawk truck parked on an island.
You don't
to
need the
launch
guy. It's a remote control truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got to have the guy who's driving around to the right position.
Well,
to
if they
launch
could make it
from.
waterproof, they could just drive it on the floor of the ocean like, the cursed guys from Pirates of the Caribbean. Just fucking drive right up on the beach. Now that would be a badass weapon. You can just drive it. It might take you months. It might take you months under the water, but once it's there, man. Okay. Oh shit, dog. Sorry, I was making gestures earlier because the dog wouldn't. I have an old dog who's like 14 years old. He's got this nasal thing. And I was like, damn it, Harley, get out of here. And that's what I was like, get out of here. So I had to throw a toy at it. But
At
her. So
be gone, old rodent. Get out of here.
Stop with the nose.
You're so breathy.
Do you want to take this story, Jake? Or do you want me to do this story on the Navy?
Oh,
or did you just send
go
it?
for it. I read it briefly and sent it, and that's it.
So
As
I read through this next story, thinking that I'll piss off anybody who's really paying attention to this podcast, the bureaucracy of aftercare for the military is just it's enough to make you puke, right? So from military.com, the headline is the Department of the Navy begins the process to reconsider 3,770 medical discharges for retirement upgrades. Now, this sounds great.
Cool at first.
Right? At first, until you read through the article. Correct.
Yeah.
So, the Department of the Navy has begun notifying more than 3,700 medically discharged soldiers and Marines of their eligibility for a new physical evaluation board hearing, one that could result in an upgrade to medical retirement. Did we talk about it last week where like, oh, you're going to get $15,000 for what was it? I can't remember it now.
It was one of the claims you had
Earplugs.
to do. Earplugs.
Earplugs. That's right.
The 3M settlement.
$15,000 or your 10%, which one you want. This article almost alludes to that. It's crazy sauce, right? To use my stepdaughter's little phrase. Over the next several months, eligible veterans medically discharged between September 12, 2016 and June 11, 2018 are to receive a letter from the Secretary of the Navy Council of Review Boards asking whether they want to have their cases reconsidered. That sounds like such a setup question, right? hey, would you like to see if you could get maybe some more? You know, and they're like, oh yeah. And they're like, okay, roll the
But
dice.
understand, you could lose some as
Yeah,
well.
they may not tell you that part.
Unbelievable.
Those eligible to receive this letter include personnel discharged during the designated period whose qualifying conditions were listed by their medical evaluation board and sent to their physical evaluation board, and who were medically separated with a combined disability rating of 20% or less. That's what surprised me about this article. It's like they're not talking higher percent, they're talking 20% or less.
Wait. So they got medically separated for a 20% disability?
No, they're saying if you well, that's true. They're saying medically discharged centers. You can't get medically discharged on 20% or less. So maybe they're appealing to those people who got out.
Unless that has a direct impact on your performance.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
if it's
yeah,
directly
right. Good
related
point.
to
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good point. But these people who are going to get this letter to get reevaluated have 20% or less, according to this article. So I know that's confusing. This whole article is very confusing. Let's not confuse it more.
Don't ask questions.
Don't
go detailed. Don't go detailed.
Hold all questions till next week.
Mhm.
Veterans who request a review must apply within 180 days of the date of the letter. They will be asked to spell out their end goal of medical retirement.
I want more money.
How sketchy is that? It's like, tell us what you would like, what you think your medical retirement's going to be. They'd be like, hell if I know.
Yeah.
No. So they'll be asked to spell out their end goal of medical retirement and provide any additional medical or non-medical evidence they may have to bolster their case. The reviews will be done by a special class action review board and will consist of a documentation review by a physical evaluation board, followed by a decision. If the veteran is not satisfied with the results of the board, they may request a formal hearing, followed by a petition for relief if necessary.
I'd like to have my lawyer present, please.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
so-
always apprehensive of this kind of stuff because once you open that can of worms, you never know what you're gonna
Yeah, you don't know what you're
right?
gonna walk
Like-
back out with, right?
right? Like you could be medically separated and getting VA for 20%
Right.
right now. And then you open that up. I mean, I guess the worst case scenario, they just say, no,
You're back to zero.
you're back to zero.
That's not the worst case, right?
They take you back in.
I guess it would be. Yeah, I guess that would be
the worst case scenario is you lose all your VA
Yeah,
rating.
Right.
Yeah.
And you get no money.
Right.
Best
is the
case
worst
would
case.
be you're retired, medically retired now at
Oh,
whatever rank
we
you
missed
were
some
at.
stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
the beginning part of this article was confusing as hell, I thought. But the review, it starts to make sense when they start talking about the case that prompted all this. But the review stems from a federal judge's decision last year in the case Torres versus Del Toro, which found the Navy improperly dictated that the only medical conditions considered for disability by the Physical Evaluation Board were those specifically listed by a medical evaluation. That should clear it up for you, right? God, I was like, what are they talking about? Under the policy, which was rescinded in 2018, physical evaluations boards were barred from considering any other medical conditions that weren't properly referred to them.
Yeah.
Man.
So
That
it's
start
it's
making
like
out-
this.
Yeah.
So yeah. So let's say I got a messed up right knee and they can't fix it. That's the only thing they're going to evaluate in order to medically separate me.
Right.
They're not going to consider my messed up left knee, my shoulders, my sleep apnea, all that stuff.
Take
That
that
is the
example
only
you
one.
have. Let's say it's your messed up left knee that has now subsequently hurt your ankle somehow.
Yep, ankle and lower back and all
Your
that
ankle
crap.
doesn't
Yeah.
get considered because it was only your knee that was recommended.
Yep, gotcha.
And your ankle is like, hey, what about my ankle? And they're like, it's not on our paperwork. It's
And that
just
does
your
suck.
knee. And they're like, yeah, but it's a subsequent injury because of this injury. And they're
Yeah.
like, you should have had that referred.
Yeah.
And that's the shit. That's the shitty part of it.
That's what
So-
they don't. They're not. That's what they were not allowed to calculate or add into the equation.
Correct.
Yep.
Let's see. Let me skip down to this example. Okay, the original case was filed in February 2021 by Oscar Torres, a Marine who served from August 2007 until his medical discharge in January 2018. During his time in service, Torres sustained injuries to his back, shoulder, wrist, fingers, knees, ankles, and hips, and he was diagnosed with an inflammatory rheumatic disease. He also suffered from sleep apnea. A Navy Medical Evaluation Board referred the back condition and sleep apnea to the Physical Evaluation Board and concluded that the rest of the conditions did not make him unfit for duty. So he could
really?
still duty with everything else, right? So they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're still good. You're just going to be sore. We're not going to put those on the list." Based on the conditions that were, quote, properly referred, the Physical Evaluation Board found Torres unfit for duty for his back issue at 10% and fit for duty for sleep apnea.
Hmm.
Falling short of the 30% disability decision required to receive medical retirement, Torres was given a lump sum disability severance payment. So he went in for all those injuries, but the
Yep.
only thing they referred him to was his back and sleep apnea. And the board
They're
was
only
like,
going to count the one thing that you're unfit for duty, not all the other things you're broken for.
they only evaluated the two things, his
Yeah,
back and sleep
yeah.
apnea, and said, "Hey, is he fit for duty for these?" Just like it was in a total vacuum.
Yeah.
That's all he had was a back injury, right? And they were like, "Nope, he can still serve with sleep apnea. Nope, his back is screwed up." But because it was just his back, it was only 10%.
Crazy.
What about all the rest of the stuff? And it's like, well, they should have
Yeah.
referred that too. You could still do all your duty with all this other shit, but there's no cumulative like picture of the person going through.
Yeah.
So he
That's
didn't
a-
get. So because of that, he only got a lump sum based on probably
His back. Yeah,
his back.
Right.
And then they were like, all right, see you later. But if they would have taken all that stuff into account,
Correct.
then he would have potentially gotten like 60% and been medically retired.
If he had like retired and gone to the VA
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and they'd assessed all that stuff, they probably would have given him more than 60%, but he
I
would
would
have at
think so.
least gotten 60%.
Yeah.
And then he would got a military payment after he retired. But because he wasn't retired and he had to reach 30% to be medically retired, and they only referred to those two things. And I'm surprised that they said he was fit for duty with sleep apnea, but I guess they have to because they'd be kicking everybody out if you weren't, right?
That's for sure.
But I don't think you're deployable if you have sleep apnea, if you have the mask.
There's restrictions on where you have to
Is that
have
what it is?
reliable electricity, basically.
Power supply.
Not
Yeah.
anymore, guys. They
Yeah.
have travel CPAP machines now that are battery operated.
Oh, nice. Well,
Yeah.
then you go out in the middle
They're
of nowhere and be like,
$1,100, but you could get one.
under your
So-
Humvee.
I have a question for you fellas in regards to this. Now, I know this isn't directly related to what you're reading, but where I'm
Yeah.
going with is,
If it's about crayons, I'm driving over to your house to wring your neck.
I swear to God, not crayons. I have a question with the outcome of some of these findings for these guys on their medical stuff. What are the guys that were being released from the Navy for not taking their COVID shots going to do?
I think
there-
there's lawsuits on that already.
There already are.
Yeah,
Are there?
And
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I could see these guys going, you know what? You're reevaluating them. Now that you know the outcome of what COVID was, I
Oh,
want to be reevaluated for letting me back in without taking the shot.
well, there's lawsuits about loss of pay and all that other shit that's going on right now.
All right. That's where I was going with it.
I thought you were going like, oh, how about this?
Green that ate a crayon.
What
You
about
chose.
this heart condition that I now have from the COVID shot that you made me take?
Yeah.
Those lawsuits are coming, right? They got to be, if they're not
I'm
already
sure.
here.
If
But they
could directly relate it.
gotta acknowledge that those vaccines cause those problems, and that may not come to fruition.
The evidence will be tough, I'm sure.
But it does make me laugh to think that they're in their fighting positions or foxholes out in the field, and the guy's got his portable CPAP going.
Oh yeah.
Shut up, dude. And he's like, oh, what can I do?
laying
By the way,
under a
CPAP,
Patriot battery.
CPAP machines don't make noise, fellas. Hello. They don't.
They do if you open your mouth. It's like,
No.
Yeah, well, okay.
do you have one that covers your mouth or just your nose, Eric?
Nose and mouth.
Oh, okay, wait. So if you just have the nose one,
The pillow.
this one,
The little cup.
and you open your mouth, all that air flows through and goes straight out your mouth. Oh yeah, 100%.
It does, but you don't hear it. The only time you'll hear it is when the seal of the pillow is broke from your nostril.
And it
You'll hear
whistles.
it'll whistle, it'll blow, you'll hear the air. It's not quite that bad.
Yeah. Thanks for killing that comedy bit.
Yeah.
On to
You
the
guys
next
just
story.
taking turns on shitting on each other's comedy bits. Okay. No.
Oh yeah,
Doesn't fucking make any
that
noise.
doesn't make any noise. Your joke doesn't
Jeez.
make any sense.
Dumb,
Moving on.
dumb joke.
That's
Next.
only. It's because I'm sensitive because I wear one of the fucking things.
I wasn't calling you out for your CPAP
I'm
lines.
sensitive.
Jeez.
It's a sexual.
What?
It's like
No.
it's a sex calling. I put it on. The next thing you know, she comes running, man.
Oh, the machismo is flowing.
You should see
his
latest post on Mr. History only on
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Papa
That
Bear.
purified water just flowing into that machine. Like freaking Spanish fly. She can't help it.
You have no idea. And I put big lips on my mask right here.
For all your CPAP affiliated extracurriculars,
Hey man,
go to
that could,
Mr.
that,
History's OnlyFans.
that could be an evolving fetish out there.
Ooh,
Oh my god.
I mean, if they got people into furries,
yeah. CPAP porn.
that's CPAP porn, baby. You could be cutting edge right now, Eric.
I don't think those cleaning machines are up to snuff
Oh my God, I'm dying here. Whoa.
yet. Oh,
Well, on that note, I would say we are rounds complete and end of mission, end of episode.
and up.
And
On behalf of
you trying
all
to
of us
say?
here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And as always, make sure to download the next episode for more service headline news. Man, thanks for the week, and I'll see you next week.
guys, have a great week. We'll see you.
All right, Eric, you strap that mask on tight tonight and say a little prayer. Shout out to Aphrodite because things are gonna happen.
Look out, fellas.
Yep. You're gonna have to call that TRICARE Prime and say I'm gonna need a new
Can you
apnea mask.
give me
I
a
wore
couple
this
of
one
new
out.
head harnesses for this?
Yeah,
Turnaround?
new his and her thing.
Oh.
See, I wake up in the morning, the mask is over my ear, the head.
Yeah.
A
One eye's
double-ended-
dried out.
A
You
double-ended,
just on the eye all night.
double-ended CPAP.
Yeah,
Oh my
nothing
God.
puts the old lady in the mood like a CPAP
doubt.
whistle.
You know that Mel Gibson movie where the blonde-headed guy is chasing the women? Which one was that? You know which one was that? The last Mel Gibson, but it wasn't Mel Gibson. It was Tom Hardy. It was oh come on, man, you guys are killing me. The guy is chasing all his wives across the
You just
desert.
said it was a Mel Gibson movie that
It's not a
wasn't
Mel
Mel Gibson. It was Tom Hardy.
Well, I said it because it started as Mel Gibson when it first came out.
Oh,
What was the very first one? Very first thing that Mel Gibson did. Come on, he drove a
Lethal
police
Weapon.
car.
He
No, he
did,
drove the police car.
Oh, he was Mad Max.
Mad Max. Name of the movie, Mad Max #3. Remember?
there you go.
So the
Yeah,
dude
Fury
that's got
Road.
the mask.
Wow.
Fury Road. The guy's got the mask. I told
Yeah,
my wife
with
I'm
the-
gonna draw
the
fangs and
paint?
shit on it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Put some shit on my mask. Have fangs.
Nothing puts a woman in the mood like a sleep apnea mask and an obscure movie reference.
Fangs.
She's practically fucking dehydrated right now.
Oh my
Jeez,
god.
man.
You would not believe how many discussions we've had about what the masks look like.
Thanks for listening. Please tune in next week.